I'm trying to convey a sense of immediacy in these works. I want to find a way for color and line to speak directly to the viewer or to myself. I think there's something about distilling color and form and line into these very unmediated direct experiences that can really touch at the base of sensations, whether it's in the brain or in the body. That's works that are very immediate and communicate directly to me through visual sensation are works that I find to have the most impact and change the way I think about things. I'm in the studio every day. It's part of my life, just the same as sleeping or eating. I'd say it's fairly rigorous. Part of what I'm interested in is finding a way to continually investigate color and visual experience, and that comes out of a process-based abstraction. Through my explorations into geometric abstraction, I found this moire pattern, and it really excited me because it was this armature that I could use to investigate both color interactions and formal interactions. So through the moire pattern, I usually start with a series of colors that I'm interested in, and I'm interested in to see how they'll interact, do some studies, and then maybe make a small scale study, think about what size makes the most sense, what kind of bodily relation I want the viewer to have with the piece, and then think about some of the other details, like what kind of background color will then heighten the gradients that are on top. From there, I'm thinking about how the lines should move throughout the canvas. Are they moving through the canvas? Are they moving up into the canvas? What is the relationship of the color and line to the support? I like the moire pattern because it gives me this almost infinite kind of lens through which to explore color and line. Sometimes the moire pattern takes on sort of natural and organic looking forms, something like a tree trunk or a wasp's nest, maybe knots in wood or oil slicks. And sometimes it refers to cosmic or celestial phenomena like aurora borealis or sunsets. And it's very generative to be able to come into the studio and have sort of my sets of variables that I can then, restrict my decision making to just color and just line and find the sort of depth in that system that creates novelty and new kind of experiences of sensation that then generate new thoughts and generate new ideas and new possibilities and new feelings. Color is what pushes my work forward. I'm interested in it because it's something natural and unnatural. It's both organic and synthetic. It's something that we make, but that just occurs in the world. It's inside of us, it's outside of us. And I'm really interested in mediating both those objective color systems, the scientific view. I'm interested in the neuroscience of color, the way that light stimulus affects our rods and cones and then enters into our brain and gives us different thoughts and feelings. But I'm also interested in subjective color systems, things like, why does this color remind me of my childhood? Why does this color bring me back to this specific place in time? Or why does it inspire a feeling of optimism or seriousness? And I don't think it's one or the other. I'm interested in both, but through this painting, I try to keep both things in mind, both the physical, scientific view of color and the emotional, nostalgic, sensual use of color. This is process-based abstraction, so it's very systematized. I have these materials that I use, varying denominations of masking tape. I'm very committed to flash vinyl paint. This is a very matte color paint that has a high pigment concentration and a very smooth finish, very flat finish. So these are kind of the starting points and kind of my color and line. From there, it's a step-by-step process. So once I've gotten all of the color relationships figured out and the general idea of how I want the lines to go on the canvas, I will start doing some tests, maybe do some drawings to figure out exactly how I want things to be. And then it is about executing it. It's about step by step, trusting the process and building up this painting. And even though the process is very disciplined and it's very systematized, every time I pull the tape off that final layer of the painting, I'm surprised both by how the color relationships turn out, but also the kinds of moments of light and shadow and form that emerge in the painting, things that I couldn't have predicted. I want my work to have the effect of opening up possibilities of thought and feeling in the viewer. I want viewers to be surprised by what they're seeing and hopefully maybe slightly startling. You know, Bridget Riley would talk about her work in terms of freshly cut wood or cool water. I think of it similarly. You know, I want that immediacy and I want my work to surprise the viewer, like coming across something unexpected in the forest or seeing somebody that they thought they recognized, but it wasn't that person. A kind of both familiarity and unfamiliarity, because I think that kind of curiosity and that strangeness can keep viewers coming back and continually refreshing their viewing of the work. I want this work to have staying power. So I'm influenced by two things. Life experiences, something I'm searching for, some answer that I'm looking for through art, which ties back into my personal history and the kind of clarity that I sometimes look for in life, but find that I can actually create in art. And then I'm also influenced by my academic history. So I attended Hunter College. Hunter College Art Department has this long tradition of what's called the Hunter College Color School, which includes Robert Swain and Sanford Wormfeld, as well as Gabrielle Everts, a really dedicated, minimalist, post-painterly color painter school, a group of painters that worked directly with what Wormfeld called presentational painting, taking color as the true content of work. And I think that's so true because color sensation is always what sticks with me, regardless if I'm looking at figurative work or sculpture. It's the way the light reacts to the form, the way that color is presented to the viewer that ends up having the staying effect for me. After Hunter, I attended Yale for my MFA, in which I got really deep into the study of Joseph Albers, thinking about how color is fungible, how in Albers' words, color acts. This means that one color is never in isolation, it is always interacting with other colors. And I found something kind of metaphorical in that. This idea that feelings are always sort of context dependent. Colors are feelings. And that you change based on the people you're around and the environment you're in. And so color then took on a more almost protagonist role in my work. I was thinking about spectrum and rainbows and sort of optical phenomena, and I kept thinking back to what an arresting moment it was when I was an undergrad in New York City, going to the Met and seeing these big color bars that Ellsworth Kelly had at the Met. And there was something so clear about them, something so crisp and really to the point to me about painting. I mean, in some ways I think color is the very essence of painting. And so I started this series. I moved away from this idea, but I started doing studies to try to think about each painting as one of these steps in the spectrum. I think in Kelly's there's 13 steps. I wound up with 5 in this Chromatic Instincts series. So I have one that is kind of yellow-green, one that is sort of orange, one that is blue-violet, and so forth. And I like this idea of a comprehensive presentation of a spectrum, you know, giving the viewer a kind of total look at the possibilities of color experience. I'm really excited to show with Pazo Fine Art. You know, Luis has been a great collaborator in putting up this show and very generous in his thoughts and ideas. This body of work in particular represents some exploratory works. The large piece at the center of the show, titled Trichromacy, Red-Green, is about this kind of split screen effect. I think about it both as the sort of parallax view of vision, but also the different hemispheres of the brain, juxtaposing red and green and really seeing the intensity that those two colors right next to each other can create. I feel really great about showing these diagrams. They sort of synthesize a lot of these different thoughts I have about objective and subjective color systems, neuroscience, but also the poetry of color. And I think those will be a really nice supplement to the painting, something for, you know, viewers to chew on as they're looking at these sort of fields of color spreading, these sort of active optical fields kind of buzzing in the gallery. I'm also really excited because this is the first time that I've really delved deep into using yellow and oranges and these sort of lighter, brighter colors on the spectrum, delicate pigments. And through that, I found some really interesting, almost hallucinatory, fluttering-like effects, additional patterns on top of the existing 3 patterns of moire. So I'm very excited for people to see these sort of very dialed in optical works that I've created.